Okay, the campaign's begun. This episode, we're going to talk about initial setup and random events. In this closer look at India, you get a better indication of which territories are owned by which country. The red is England, the purple is France, and this orange color is Spain. The two southern territories down here, the Carnatics, are just lightly garrisoned. The English hold Bengal with 4 colonial units. Looking at Mysore, the French hold Mysore with 9 colonial units. Taking a closer look at Manila, we'll notice that Spain has 2 regular units garrisoning Manila, along with a small fortress. This is an exception to the rule that all troops generated in this colonial area are colonial troops. Spain has a special rule that they start with 2 regular SP, and they also have a medium fleet garrisoning the sea zone there. The French hold the interior as well as the 2 Canadian provinces. Each square represents SP. The ones on the left are the colonial SP, and the ones on the right are the regular SP. So each territory, French territory, has one of each. For the English territories, the Mid-Atlantic and Southern colonies each are garrisoned by 1 colonial unit. Taking a closer look at New England, we can see that they are mostly concentrated in this area with English troops. There's 3 colonial units and 2 regular units. The Caribbean area as a whole is mostly garrisoned lightly. Each territory only has 1 colonial unit located on it. The only exception is for Spain's Cuba. Taking a zoomed in look at Cuba, they have 3 ground forces, 2 colonial, 1 regular, as well as their fleet in port in Cuba, which consists of a light fleet, a transport fleet, as well as the Marines accompanying the light fleet. Take a look at Spain. They do have troops located in Spain as well as fleets located in both the Eastern Atlantic and the Mediterranean. Spain is garrisoned by a fairly sizable force consisting of 13. The Spanish fleet in the Eastern Atlantic consists of a medium fleet and a light fleet, while the Mediterranean fleet consists of a light fleet and a transport fleet. Spain also has 2 territories in southern Italy, each only garrisoned with 1 regular unit each. Taking a quick look at France in Europe, French land units are located in France, split between northern France and southern France, and their entire fleet is located in the Mediterranean. Northern France just has a small garrison of 2, while the rest, consisting of 8, are in southern France. Looking at the French fleet in the Mediterranean, it consists of 2 medium fleets, 3 light fleets, 2 transport fleets, plus their Marines. English territory in Europe consists of England, Scotland, and Hanover. They also have their fleet split between the North Sea and the Eastern Atlantic, with a handful of ships in port. Taking a closer look at their land units, England only has a garrison of 1, while Scotland has a garrison of 4. Hanover does contain the bulk of their land forces with 11. The North Sea fleet consists of 2 light fleets, 2 transport fleets, and their Marines, while the East Atlantic fleet consists of a heavy fleet, a medium fleet, a light fleet, and 2 transport fleets located in port. Taking a quick look at Austria, outside of their core territories, they also have the Netherlands as well as Milan. All of their territories are garrisoned with only 1 SP, except for Austria, which has 17, and Silesia, which has 5. Taking a closer look at Prussia, they only have 2 territories, Prussia and East Prussia. Prussia has the bulk of their garrison with 18. East Prussia consists of a garrison of 4. The Swedish territories of Finland and Pomerania are only garrisoned with 1 unit apiece. Sweden proper has a land garrison of 10 units, while their small fleet consisting of 2 light fleets and a transport fleet are located in port there. Russia is relatively evenly spread out between the 4 Russian territories and the 2 Ukrainian territories. North Central Russia and Northern Russia consist of a garrison of 4 units and 3 units respectively. Northern Ukraine and Southern Ukraine are garrisoned by 4 units and 3 units respectively, while the remainder of their forces are located in Central Russia and Southern Russia, each having a garrison of 6 units. The Turkish units are all evenly spread out, with every territory having only 2 units in each of them, except Albania, which contains 6, as well as Moldavia containing the remaining 6. So the random events phase, let's see what we got. All right, looks like we've got 3 random events. Bukovina, Hanover, and Portugal. Bukovina, a neutral territory, is affected by desertion. If it were to be invaded by a player, when calculating the ratio for an NPC battle, the territory value is reduced by 1. So for turn 1, in this case, Bukovina will be rated as a 0 territory for the purposes of battle when player forces are moved into that territory to capture it. With regards to Hanover, England owns Hanover, and they have benevolent occupation. So what that means is that territory will generate twice the gold value than it would otherwise normally do, up to a maximum of 3. Hanover is a value of 3, so for turn 1 during the revenue collection, England will be essentially gaining an additional 3 gold pieces. Portugal also is benefiting from benevolent occupation, but because it's a neutral territory, it doesn't affect a player directly. What this does mean, though, is if a player chooses to invade Portugal on turn 1 and they successfully capture it, then that player would gain the benefits of the additional gold generated that turn. For example, if Spain were to invade Portugal and successfully capture Portugal, then Spain would immediately collect an additional 3 gold pieces that turn, because for the purposes of gold, Portugal would be worth 6 for that turn instead of the normal 3. Our next step is to determine the off-board front allocation. In this campaign, the off-board front allocation table is rolled against Turkey's income. So this will tell us how much gold Turkey loses, and the assumption is that they're dealing with other countries and territories that are beyond the scope of the game. Turn 1, Turkey will lose 8 gold pieces. Next, we do a roll to see if the Jacobites rebel in Scotland. No rebellion for turn 1. Next is the tropical disease random event. Basically, this is a random event that would affect English and or French forces in the Caribbean, South Atlantic, or possibly even Manila. Spanish troops are not affected by this random event rule. So after it's all said and done, Panama, Cuba, and Jamaica were the only territories that were affected by tropical disease. Again, this specific random event roll does not affect Spanish troops, so the only territory that would be affected is Jamaica. Now, the other territories are affected in that French and English troops could not move into Panama or Cuba, but in this case, for Jamaica, it's just as if the disease random event that gets randomly rolled had occurred. So no movement to or from, no raising of any troops there, nor raising of any money there. Finally, the last random event for the turn 1 random event sequence is rolling for the Spanish treasure fleet. That happens during the spring turn only, but that is a secret roll and it is only shared with the Spanish player. So I will roll that die off camera and then email the Spanish player discreetly. There is the possibility that if a treasure fleet is rolled and determined, that other countries can learn of the treasure fleet's existence and then they may do with that information what they will. But the roll itself is secret and discovery is only made by chance. Austria collects 23 gold. England collects 28. France 24, Prussia 12, Russia 12, Spain 21, Sweden 6, and Turkey 8. The first diplomatic announcement is from France, and it reads, "Let it be known that Spain and France have agreed and signed the Alliance Treaty of the Mighty, Righteous, and Just, French-Spanish Mutual Defense Treaty. It is agreed by the signature parties below that the parties below agree that an armed attack against one or more of them shall be considered an attack against them all, and consequently they agree that, if such an armed attack should occur, each of them, in exercise of the right of individual or collective self-defense, will assist the party or parties so attacked by talking forthwith, individually and in concert with the other parties, such action as it deems necessary, including the use of military force, to restore and maintain the security of the alliance." The second and final diplomatic announcement is from Spain. And Spain wishes to declare their mutual defense alliance with France, Treaty of the Righteous, Might, and Just. We now move on to the next phase of this campaign, in which the players are now required to submit their movement orders as well as builds for the turn 1. It'll be interesting to see, especially in light of this announced alliance between France and Spain, what their plans are and what those plans entail. I'd also be curious to see how other people intend to react to this news. And I'm also kind of curious to see if we're going to start getting some battles this early on, or if people are going to be a little more cagey with their movement and deployments and drag out the suspense a little bit longer. But until next time, thank you very much, and good night.